111, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, Jaime Munguia!
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. Quick video today. Obviously the recent news that Jaime Munguia failed the drugs test. I believe it was synthetic testosterone. So just gonna go ahead and react to that news. Obviously before we get started, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys always for tuning in. Jaime Munguia, very disappointed. Is a fighter that I've always liked. On the come up, I thought he had immense talent. I remember him at 154 pounds. He was huge at that weight. Big, strong, tough Mexican fighter. And I thought he had some skills as well. I think the big thing with Jaime Munguia, in my opinion, I don't think Oscar De La Hoya managed him well at all. I remember that when he fought John Ryder and then he went straight into the Canelo fight. John Ryder, I know him. He's a British fighter. Tough, tough cookie, but does beating John Ryder really make you deserve that Canelo fight? I don't think so. So I think Jaime Munguia really was not managed well, and I think obviously he had that shock knockout defeat against Sarache, and now this failed drugs test. It's really obviously Munguia beat him in the rematch. I thought the performance was quite good, but now a failed drugs test. That fight will probably be a no contest. And at 28, 29 years of age, what really is the plan for Jaime Munguia? And I think his career has really just fallen off a cliff. I think the right thing to do with someone like Jaime Munguia would have beat John Ryder. That's a very good win, but I think he needed maybe 2, 3, 4 fights before you step up to that elite level. And I think Jaime Munguia actually did quite well against Canelo. It's not like he lost every round. I think he actually fought quite well. But as for me reacting to the news, I'm very disappointed in Munguia. I think he's, he was one of probably my favorite Mexican fighter, on the come up. And now to get caught with synthetic testosterone. Obviously he's come out and, and done an apology video. Do I believe that? Absolutely not. I wasn't born yesterday. I'm a former athlete. I've been an athlete pretty much my entire life. And let me tell you, those things don't just get in your system. They don't. There's millions of dollars on the table. You really tell me that fighters can't put, precautions in place? These nutritionists that are getting paid, God knows how much money. Are you really gonna sit here and tell me that they can't, check everything? Whether that's your supplements, the labels, all those things. That's something that I was doing as an athlete. I was doing that even in college. And in college you don't even earn money. And I was, anything that I was taking, whether it was a supplement, or a new, whether it's like protein or something, protein powder or whatever it was. You send that to an athletic trainer. He checks everything. Is it on the ban list? No. Therefore, I can use it. I remember one of the vitamins I was taking. He actually said, stop taking that because it potentially could, you could potentially pop, essentially. And I stopped taking it. So again, that was for no money on the table. When there's millions of dollars on the table, you would think that fighters, could, and we know that they could. You could put precautions in place. You could check everything. You could send off what you're taking to the right people, but they don't do that. And I think the reason they don't do that is because a lot of these fighters know exactly what they're doing. I think a lot of these fighters are cheating. As for Eddy Reynoso, I don't know how many fighters this is now. You worked with Ryan Garcia, failed the drugs test. Canelo Alvarez failed 2 drugs tests. Oscar Valdez failed the drugs test. Martinez failed the drugs test. Jaime Munguia, this is your first fight with Jaime Munguia and already failed the drugs test. So again, Eddy Reynoso, are you really going to sit here and tell me that after 1 or 2 of your fighters fails the drugs test, you're not going to sit them down and, ask them, what are you taking? Who are you working with? Who's giving you stuff? You would say that, Eddy Reynoso is a trainer, but he's also a manager as well. He's the manager of Canelo Alvarez. So, essentially, I wanted to make this video because I don't want you guys to just sit there and, hear Munguia's video and think, oh, maybe no. These guys, if you're getting, if you're failing drug tests, especially for something like synthetic testosterone, you're cheating. You're cheating. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Ryan Garcia, I mean, he failed the drug test as well, but at least with Ryan Garcia, I mean, I suppose, I mean, it's no excuse, but I suppose at least he was just taking something for a weight loss. You know, testosterone is, you know, that really increases your power, strength, you know, your durability, your punch resistance. I mean, that's massive in the sport of boxing. So yeah, Jaime Munguia, another issue in boxing. What suspension is he going to get? Canelo Alvarez got 6 months. Ryan Garcia got a year. Conor Ben didn't get any suspension. So, you know, what time will he even get? I think a lot of things in boxing do need to change, especially, you know, the authorities in terms of when a fighter does fail. So yeah, you know, those are my thoughts. Again, very disappointed in Jaime Munguia. I did used to be a fan, and he was a fighter that I really liked, but there's no excuses for this. As always, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments. You know, definitely interested to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, you know, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next one.